Welcome into Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee-McNelis as the Lady Eagles are coming off a nice two-game homestand.
And the stress ball comes in.
And the stress ball comes in from off camera as the Lady Eagles are preparing for the North Texas Rice Road Swing with a win in their hip pocket against the Monarchs of Old Dominion, and then certainly the big game against Charlotte. Didn't go the way the Lady Eagles wanted, but certainly an early season test as to what the Lady Eagles need to work on. Let's talk about the Old Dominion game. This was an Old Dominion game against the Monarchs where the Lady Eagles played some of their best basketball this season. 84-69 win, led by Brittany Dinkins, another career night, and it was the Lady Eagles and their defense on full display.
You know, Josh, it was truly our defense. Our defense generated our offense. Brittany Dinkins led the way defensively as we ended up with 10 steals. She ended up with 10 steals. I mean, as she continues to play game in and game out, gosh, she gets better every game. And there's no doubt she's the leader of this team when it comes not just to one stat, but to multiple stat lines on our team. She played a phenomenal game in that game, and this team played very well. We really thrive off of her energy, and her energy brings so much to this team. It creates opportunities out of our pressure defense. It gives us opportunities to get, whether it be our pressure defense, whether it be our half-court defense, whatever it may be, it gives us every opportunity to get something going the other way. And then that Old Dominion game, Josh, there were multiple times that they didn't even get it across half-court, back-to-back times, and we were able to get things going the other way. And so, you know, Josh, I think what made that game our best game is because of our pressure defense. I mean, we pressed the entire game, and it created a lot of opportunities for us to get some easy baskets.
Does Brittany Dinkins remind you of anyone in particular, Shirley Hill, who had 116 steals in a season? That record has stood for so many years, for decades. Brittany Dinkins has a chance to challenge that record, a record you thought may never fall. It's phenomenal what B-Dink is doing, her anticipation.
It is her anticipation. It's obviously her off-the-ball defense that creates opportunities for her steals, particularly in our press. But I will tell you this, Josh, you know, Shirley was very quick, very explosive. Shirley had similar quicknesses to a Jamera Faulkner. Brittany Dinkins is not that kind of quickness, but the same kind of defensive player because of her anticipation skills.
It's unbelievable. And to take fans through what this team reps on a practice in, practice out basis, it's very similar to what football teams do with their defensive backs.
You know, we do what we call front of press drills, side of press drills, back of press drills. And we do those, and it's very much like football drills where you run backwards, you put your behind to the middle of the floor, you make the anticipation, and you break on the ball. And those are things that we've done for years. And I just think that's so critical when you have to be able, number one, to read shoulders, just like you do in a football. You read where the quarterback's headed. At least on a basketball floor, you can see their eyes a little better than you can on a football field. But we teach read shoulders, read eyes, and be able to break on that. Now, Josh, a part of that is the people that's in the front of the press, their rule is they have to get a touch. They may not get a hard touch, but they have to get a touch. That's what we scream the entire time is you got to get a touch, you got to get a touch. Just to be able to knock the ball off kilter a little bit so you can have a Brittany Dinkins that'll come in and get that steal.
29 turnovers forced in that ball game, 21 steals for the Lady Eagles, and that's a stat where the Lady Eagles still both top 15 in the country in both categories. But the Lady Eagles also shot the ball well because they got such high percentage shots in that ball game.
And you're exactly right. I mean, our defense generated those opportunities, and you know, we made those shots. Against Charlotte, we didn't make those shots when we created the opportunities. But we made those shots in the Old Dominion game. And I will tell you, Josh, you know, I thought we had a good crowd for that game as well. And I thought the energy of our fans really helped this Lady Eagle team. We played really, really hard Thursday night. And, you know, we made a lot of things happen off of the defensive end, off the rebounding end of being able to get in the ball and going. And, you know, obviously our defense ends up giving us opportunities for transition baskets. And that's kind of who we are. So again, it's things that we've got to continue to work on. You know, there's people that'll play different people and play different ways for us to be able to have to make adjustments. And so that's why you have to continue to practice it every day.
And then, Coach, in closing, what's the big picture you take out of that win? Because fans were super excited after that ball game. As we've talked about all year, you're never as good as one game. You're never as bad as another game.
No.
So what did you take out of that ball game?
You know, I think, number one, you could see our team chemistry beginning to develop defensively. of where we did make mistakes, because it was kind of like, we got greedy there for a while, to be honest with you, Josh. And we got one steal, got another steal, and now we're biting at the bullet to anticipate and take chances. And that's where we've got to understand that we're playing really good teams in our league, and we don't want to give up 10 points in layups. So, even though we get energized with that excitement, we've got to settle down and take a deep breath, because we cannot allow those easy buckets as well. However, I do know that I've been doing it long enough. You're going to give up some. There's going to be some mistakes that are made. But I think that, number one, that we saw our defensive chemistry begin to come together. I think the other thing that we saw is multiple players score for us, and multiple players step up and make things happen, whether it be rebounding, whether it be taking a charge, whatever it may be. And I just think that right before our eyes, we're seeing our team kind of grow up a little bit.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversations about the week that was for the Lady Eagles. Lady Eagles took on the 49ers of Charlotte, who, as those who were there at the ball game, they appeared in that particular game on Saturday as the best team in Conference USA. We'll take a break, come back, continue with more. You're watching Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee-McNelis.
Taste the feeling.
Welcome back to Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee-McNelis. The Lady Eagles were gearing up this past weekend for the big showdown with the Charlotte 49ers. Coach, you mentioned crowds on Thursday night. Crowd even bigger on Saturday. And they tried to will the Lady Eagles back into the ball game early third quarter when we tied the game, and then 47 all, and then chilled off a little bit. But let's start the beginning of the game, hot out of the gates yet again, and then hit one of the biggest walls we'd hit in about a month.
Josh, what happened there, we just talked about what we did in the Old Dominion game. Our defense generated easy buckets for us. We hit those easy buckets. We finished them. Total opposite against Charlotte. Our defense was very good. It created buckets, and we missed buckets. And again, I think we have to give some credit to Charlotte, because they have their big post player that ended up being back several times. They alternated a lot of those shots as well, but we did not make shots. We were 0 for 10 at one point. 4 of those in those 10 shots were shots that were layups by our perimeter players that should have been shots in the rim. You're not going to win any ball game, Josh, by doing that. And that's where we lost the ball game, when it was 23-9, and we missed all those shots. And I think you have to take hats off to the Lady Eagles, because it took a while, but we fought hard to be able to make that comeback. But I will tell you, it took all of our gas to get through, to get the comeback, and we just couldn't get over that hump.
Final score in that ball game, very deceiving. It was a 56-52 ball game 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. And again, we were just looking for another surge that wasn't there.
Yeah, and we kept trying to get that surge and push beyond. And, as we watched that game, we've done a great job of really keeping people fresh. But again, when we were trying to make that surge, if I look back, I probably should have gone back and rotated some players. But again, as a coach, when you're making that surge and you're making that comeback, you hate to mess with the chemistry of what's on the floor at that time. And it's kind of like, do you do it or do you don't do it? Hindsight's 20/20. And if I could do it over again, I would have continued my rotation just like we always have, rather than depend on 5 players to make that comeback and get us over the hump.
Was that as good of a game as you've seen from a player in the post? Jamison
Oh, my
Myers,
goodness.
11 of 12, as you've seen in recent memory?
She's really, really good. And, they have great perimeter players. This is what caused us problems in that game, is their 4 players on the perimeter can shoot the cover off the basketball. They are deep 3-ball shooters, and they're very confident 3-ball shooters. They're very, very good. So again, what we do normally is we double off play certain players to be able, because of our lack of size in the post. And we were supposed to front the post. We did not execute that part of our game plan. But again, when she got it inside, she had us buried, and all you got to do is turn and shoot the ball at that point with her size. And, she was unbelievable. She's very, very good. We talked about her in our pregame that she could not be a factor. She was a factor, and that was the difference in the ballgame.
4 players for the 49ers played 32 or more minutes.
Right.
You just talked about rotating players more. If you get a chance to get another crack at them deep in the Conference USA tournament, will we see a lot of rotation from the Lady Eagles, do you think, the second time
We
around?
will, but we'll have to pressure because we can't let her get down on that block and post us up. I mean, you press for several reasons. One of the reasons is if they have big post players, you try to get them to shoot it quicker rather than shove it down to the post. And they did a heck of a job of doing that. Then the other thing, obviously, is to help them play faster. And again, I just think the biggest thing is we've got to rotate players. Their players play a lot of minutes. However, they're not pressing the entire game. So it makes a huge difference. 32 minutes for one of their players and 32 minutes for our players is a little different because of the style of defense that you play. And we have to play that way because of lack of size.
And in closing this segment, on a positive note, Brittany Dinkins, 25 points again in the ball game. Kiri Jewett-Giles added 17. A 3-ball nearly went in late that would have given her a new season high of 20. She played well, but then back to Dinkins. Dinkins now in 3 consecutive games averaging 28.6. That's about as good of a 3-game stretch in recent memory.
Oh, yeah. And that's a great job for her. And we're just really, really proud of her. And, you just get excited for someone that is a senior and has stayed true to the course, and things have been bumpy here and there for her, and she's been faced with challenges, and we've challenged her. We've made it tough for her so that she can become tougher. And you can't be more excited for her and reaping benefits and having success like she's having. She and I were talking after the Old Dominion game, and she said, Coach, the only thing I'm going to ask you is please do not quit pushing me. And, we knew when we brought Brittany Dinkins in here, she had a chance to be special. She did. But like most players that come into any Division I program, Gino Ariemo will tell you, you read anything about him, they don't really understand the pace of the game, the speed of the game, what it takes in practice, how long you have to practice, the film sessions, and they get a little distracted. And B. Dink went through that a little bit, as every player in the country does. And, but again, she held true to the course, and it's just amazing to be able to see the success that she's having.
And congrats to her picking up the Conference USA Player of the Week, her 3rd such nod, but the first since picking up 2 Conference USA Freshman of the Week her rookie year. We'll take a break. We'll come back and wrap up the show. We'll talk about the Texas road trip, taking on North Texas and Denton, and then taking on Rice and Houston. Back to wrap it up right after this as you're watching Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee-McNelis.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Another at the 20, 15, gets a block, cuts back in, touchdown. His body got a foot down for a Golden Eagle touchdown. Mike goes up. Short of slant, Trent Taylor, but he's going to be brought down for a loss.
As we wrap this edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee-McNelis, the Lady Eagles heading to Texas to take on this North Texas Mean Green team. That's a very athletic team. And then a Rice team that can really slow you down. Rice goes into Denton, wins 51-50 for their first Conference USA win of the season. What did you take out of that ball game to kind of get a feel for how this week could play out?
You know, Josh, they're both very, very good. I mean, North Texas is extremely athletic. I mean, they're like us athletically. They've had some players that transferred in that's very, very good. That has been true difference makers for their program. And I'm going to tell you, they're a tough team to beat at home. As we know, we've been in there to play them before, and it's never been easy. So for Rice to go in there and get that win, which we've watched that game, that's unbelievable. I'll tell you the thing that makes Rice really go is they play extremely well together. They're very patient offensively. They're not going to take bad shots. They're not. They're not going to beat themselves at all. They're not. They're a team that is very patterned oriented. They make reads off of you. You know, they're going to keep you in front defensively, and they're going to make you make mistakes by being so patient. And, because our concern of going in and playing them is us chomping at the bits, wanting to go for a pass here, going for a pass there. They're a team that's going to make you pay. If you make a defensive mistake, they're going to make you pay. They're a very good basketball team. Two totally different styles. North Texas is more like Southern Miss. Rice is totally different than us. And so this Texas two-step is going to be a real challenge because the conflict of styles, because the way both teams play. So the Lady Eagles have really got to focus in, and that's the thing that we've talked about, Josh, after the games this weekend against Old Dominion and Charlotte, is losing focus during challenging times. It's so easy to keep your focus when things are good. And so we've talked to our team at length, we've talked to them individually about staying focused in challenging times, and we're going to face some challenges as we head out on the road to play two very good basketball teams. And we've got to keep our focus there. We got to keep our focus. We got to stay true to the grind, carry out the game plan, and we'll be successful.
And last thought, when you lose one at home, then you got to go get two on the road.
You got to.
And so these become really big games, especially with Middle Tennessee and UAB coming to town the following week.
Yeah, and it's everybody in Conference USA can win. I mean, you've seen that this weekend. FIU beat UTEP. Rice, of course, winning on the road at North Texas. I mean, those are huge, huge games. And so I think every night anybody can win in Conference USA. And, you have to protect your home court. We let one slip by us. So we've got to be able to go play our very best. We got to play basketball the way we did against Old Dominion. And if we do that, Josh, we'll be able to compete on the road and hopefully be able to get a win.
All right, it's North Texas coming up on Thursday. It's Rice coming up on Saturday. For Coach McNelis, for Craig Adams, and for Elijah West, I'm Josh West. Until next time, you've been watching Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joy Lee-McNelis.
Hey basketball fans, the Conference USA Men's and Women's Basketball Championship is headed back to Birmingham in 2017. Bartow and Legacy Arenas will host games from March 8th through March 11th. So mark your calendars now and be sure to check out conferenceusa.com for all the information like ticket prices, championship brackets, and game times. This will be college basketball at its best, so plan now to join us in Birmingham.